Hey. Welcome. I'm your humble host, Phys Ed Music, and this right here is Urban Politics, where politics lives. Want to thank you all for liking and subscribing. Please, as soon as you have a chance, take your cell phone over there to YouTube, like and subscribe. Phys Ed Music, Urban Politics. But without further ado, I want to run right into it, jump right into it like a car and drive because there's all types of tasty and delicious politics to talk about. I got a mix of things to talk about today. Some of it's pop culture, some of it's politics, but it all comes together in some type of, I don't know, big ball of, I don't know what you'd call it. All right. So first, let's talk about a term that I'm sure that you've heard a lot of, BDE. You know what I'm saying? For those who don't know what that is, you can look that up. Megan Thee Stallion's kind of made it popular. Actually, if you ask me, I would say BDE ain't nothing but male confidence. Now, there's plenty of people who have that BDE. It's big something energy, right? But that to me is nothing but confidence. That's all that's ever been. Me and another guy friend of mine were talking about it, and he was saying, look, there's plenty of guys who have big DE, and they don't even have a big D. They just have big D confidence. And that's all that is. Confidence is sexy on a person. So, you know what I'm saying? All these people running around talking about he got big, big D confidence or big D energy and all that other stuff. It's just the confidence that's coming through. Anybody can be confident. If you believe in yourself, you know what I'm saying? If you're comfortable in your own skin, you're going to exude that confidence. Now, these days, you young folk, you got to give everything a name. That's what he said, too. He said, man, these kids got to give everything a name. So now you put that name on it. It's Big DE. That is what it is, but I'm here to tell you there's plenty of guys who do not have a big D, but they do have big DE because they just have big D confidence. They believe in themselves, and that's where it's at. But we can all have that. You don't have to be well endowed to be confident as a man within yourself. That too. That's the hard thing about being a man. Sometimes when you're a man, it seems like everything that you are has to be wrapped up in your genitalia. And that's because America is obsessed with sex, right? So everything has to begin and end past the waistline. But, we all need to mature past that, okay? Confidence has nothing to do with that. Confidence has to do with how you feel about yourself, right? So, you know what I'm saying? I would say if you don't have any, go get you some. Anyway, moving on. Well, actually, and the only reason I even talk about that is because they were talking about that in the news. They were saying that Kim Kardashian, that's the reason why she was searching Pete Davidson out. Heard that he had this big DE. Actually, I just heard this chick. She heard that he had that big D, and she wanted to try that out. Hey, that's a divorced woman looking to get back out there, so that's how she was getting back out there. I ain't mad at her at all for that, but that was interesting to me. But then when I think about Pete Davidson, I'm like, there's a guy who exudes confidence. Have you seen him? Guy looks like a bum, right? Because he's comfortable. He wears clothes that are comfortable. He ain't trying to impress nobody. He's a funny dude. He's a talented dude. So he has no reason to be superficial or funny acting or anything like that, right? Right? You know what I call that? Confidence. Not big D energy. He's just a confident man, confident in his skills, confident, comfortable in his own skin. Confidence. That's that confidence I was talking about, right? Anyway, moving on. Now let's go and talk about what has dominated the news cycle since it happened. The school shooting that went down in Uvalde, Texas. Like I said, it's dominated the news cycle as it should. So many horrific stories have come out of that. Let's talk about a few of them. Now, I'm not even going to go through names and events and stuff like that. I know you've seen this on the TV ad nauseum, but I can just go ahead and highlight a few things for me. Walk with me down a horrific memory lane. 19 cops didn't do anything. So I said 19 cops was there on the scene. Nothing happened. They were waiting on a tactical team. They said at the end of the day, one officer went in there and subdued the shooter. And they said that he even did that against orders not to go in. But, he was just like, forget that. I'm going in. And he ran up in there and he handled business. One guy. And there were 19 dudes there. The right wants to blame everything but the gun. I am so sick of hearing Ted Cruz go on and on about lock doors. I'm so sick of them talking about video games. I'm so sick of them talking about mental health. They're not going to put a penny into mental health. They've never cared about mental health. They only want to talk about the mental health of the shooter when the shooter is white anyway. So there's that. They want to deflect from everything but the real problem, the gun. There was a mom who went in there and saved her two kids. If you have not seen her story on CNN, that was amazing. This woman, actually, you've heard of her. She was the woman who got arrested initially trying to go get her kids. Then they let her out of the cuffs. She ran in the building, got her kids out, was able to help some other kids get out. One lady, one mom, you know what I'm saying? She did all that, was able to run in and get her kids and get them out. So that's an amazing story. If you haven't heard that, you got to hear that. But she said, she felt guilty because she said, yeah, I got my kids out, but what about all those other kids that got left in there? And she said, while she was in there, she could hear shooting going on. They said, were there any police in it or anything like that? She said, no, wasn't nobody there but me. She said, all I could think is, why are they not coming in here? What are they waiting on? Why have they not rushed in? Like I said, one officer went against orders. He ran up in there, subdued the shooter. People, unfortunately, this is America. We just had the president that we just had, the orange dude, and he has drummed up a whole lot of racial animus and hatred in America. So, of course, people were coming at the angle. They say, yeah, these are little brown kids. They ain't care about them little brown kids, so they let those kids die. They let them die on purpose. I thought about that. I thought there might even be some truth to that. But then when I sit back and look at it, the shooter was Spanish. A lot of these cops were Spanish. And unfortunately, these babies who died were Spanish. So I don't think that there's a racial piece here. What I do think is that those cops are inept. I think none of them are any good at their jobs. And I think if there was ever a case to be made for defunding police, or at least a police department, it would be the one in Uvalde, Texas, because these guys, they way dropped the ball on this. And, we all have bad days at work, but these 19 cops had a bad day, and 19 kids lost their lives because they had a bad day at work. So they shouldn't be cops. And you know what? It's being a cop is kind of like being a firefighter, right? Firefighters don't get to run to a burning house and then wait for a tactical team. I laugh to keep from crying, ladies and gentlemen, because think about that. They don't get to run to a house that's on fire and wait for a tactical team to go in and save people because they're afraid to get burned. Nah, they're firefighters. That is their job, to put their lives on the line when need be. Same with these cops. So I don't have any sympathy for these dudes. They're cowards. They're gutless. They're yellow-bellied. And it's sad because here I am, just a regular civilian. If I was outside of school and heard gunshots, I'd run up in it. I'd run up in it and do something. And I ain't got no gun. I ain't got nothing. I ain't nothing but a concerned parent. But I would run up in there because I care about kids. I love the kids. And I feel like as adults, you know what I'm saying? No matter whether that's your kid or not, it's a kid. And in this society, they're all our children, So we're charged as adults to take care of all of them and love on all of them and try and protect all of them. And the fact that these 19 officers were more afraid of getting shot than these kids getting shot. Like I said, they shouldn't have their jobs. I don't think they should have criminal charges because it's not a crime to be a coward. It is, I guess, when you're a police officer, but it is what it is. But if anything, man, go on and fire these dudes. Find some new people to work over there in Uvalde because they failed these children, right? So that is what it is, but I don't think there's a racial piece to this because, like I said, everybody involved seems to be Spanish, So, like I said, we just got some cops who just aren't good at their jobs. They're just not good at their job. They definitely need to be fired. And they were saying that, too. To this day, no one's been fired. The chief of police, he's been ducking the media. He's been ducking the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice has opened a case into this because these guys dropped the ball so tough, and this guy is hiding. And they won't produce him for Department of Justice. Now, a few nights ago, maybe sometime last week, they swore him into the city council. But they did it low-key, and they only announced it after they did it, and to make sure to keep him in hiding. Because they're actively hiding him from the Department of Justice. Think about that. But I'm going to tell you, this whole thing is political, and it's extremely partisan, because Governor Abbott and them people over there, what are they? They're Republicans over there in Texas. What do we have now? Department of Justice is ran by who? Garland, who is a Democrat. So now you're going to have that going on. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? Abbott and them, they feel like they ain't got to do anything to work with this Democratic Department of Justice. When it really ain't got nothing to do with politics, and Democrat or Republican, it's got to do with 19 dead children. 19 dead children and 2 adults. Don't let me forget about the ladies who, lost their lives trying to save kids. And they're not police officers. They were just concerned adults. Concerned teachers. So there it is, you know what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens with all this, but it's going to be something to see because it's going to be a fight because, like I said, you got a Democratic Department of Justice, trying to investigate something that went down in a very, very red state. Texas, a very Republican state with a Republican legislature. Anyway, moving on, let's talk about a real life sleeper, an idiot. Herschel Walker. Look, once again, what can I say about this brother that hasn't already been said? Like I said, he's a sleeper. He's just a piece of clay that the GOP has propped up, and they'll push whatever buttons, and they'll have him dancing whatever music they want to have him dancing to. Whenever they ask him a question, every comment is incoherent. He just doesn't know anything. His past is horrible. He's got all these domestic violence charges and stuff like that. He had a business that took PPE funds. You know what I'm saying? Took PPE money and wasn't supposed to, like a bunch of other business. And they came after him about for fraud and stuff like that. He's not coherent at all. But with all of these things said, he won the GOP primary. He is the person who they're sending to Washington to represent the GOP. So that is what it is. And that lets you know right there that they don't really care. They don't care. They don't care that people have horrible pasts. They don't care that people may have had some sexual assault or any other type of assault in their past. They don't care that people are incoherent on the mic and don't know anything about the facts that they're supposed to know about. All they care is about people who would do their bidding. All they care about, and then this guy was talking. Herschel Walker was saying something about CRT. He couldn't even remember the letters. He is LRT, CRT. You can't remember that, bruh. Critical race theory. It's all the GOP have been talking about for months now, and you can't remember it. But like I said, this guy is a sleeper. He's just like Dr. Oz. You know what I'm saying? That's what the GOP does. They always find famous people who have absolutely no background for governing or for civil service. They prop them up and they get them in there. And I tell people all the time, you have to remember that Ronald Reagan, he was an actor by trade. He was the GOP god, and he ended up going down as one of their most successful presidents. And probably one of the most successful presidents, but his trade was an actor. He was an actor. That's why he was good with the slogans. That's why he was good in front of a camera. He was an actor. That's why he got the Republican nomination, because that's what they like to do. They find famous people who may or may not know anything about governing, and then we'll go ahead and prop them up and make sure that they get the job. And it'll be easy to do because face recognition, name recognition. I would say 80 to 90% of politics is face recognition, name recognition. If people know you from something, and God forbid it's something they really liked or really enjoyed, boom, now you got them. That's more than half the job when it comes to politics. Do you recognize this? Then I got you. So that's what the GOP does, and it's sad because you would want people to have some kind of frame of reference, for this political thing they're going to get involved in. But nah, they lightweight famous. That goes a long way in this business, unfortunately. So I talked about the Orange Man a little while ago. I actually have to give him credit, believe it or not, because he had even said, and they played a video of it, you can look on YouTube, he had even talked about how things needed to change with guns. Now, this was a while ago when we had a mass shooting. I can't remember which one it was, but Trump had even came out and he said, but the NRA, they give these guys too much money, and they're not going to do any moves on that. Whoa, that was him saying the quiet part out loud, but he did say that. So I'll give him credit on that. Even Trump has been honest about the fact that the GOP is beholden to the NRA because of these huge, these massive checks that they get from that company. You know what I'm saying, or that organization. So that's something. Now, I haven't heard him say anything like that recently because that definitely be political suicide because, the NRA is huge with that base. But things are changing. I was just reading something a little while ago, and they were talking about how some guys in some Proud Boy shirts got turned away from a Trump rally. So they got turned away, or told that you either have to turn your shirt inside out, and then you can come in, or you can't come in. Because I guess now they said that Trump and his acolytes are kind of trying to distance themselves from QAnon and the Proud Boys and stuff like that. And I get it, because it's not a good look for them anymore. It's not politically expedient for them anymore. Especially when you have some of these white supremacists going out and, killing the elderly black people. It's not a good look. You know what I'm saying? And they know they've been playing with fire. The GOP, they've always, had this relationship with white supremacy and like to toy with racism and beat the racial drum because it works. It works. Racial politics is easy politics. These are easy buttons to push. Whenever you push them, you're going to be successful because people love tribal politics, or even if they don't love it, it's easy for them to get into it. You know what I'm saying? So it works all the time. The GOP uses it all the time. They've always, like I said, like to flirt with danger, like to flirt with neo-Nazis, like to flirt with the Klan and David Duke and all of that type stuff. So this is nothing new, but like I said, it's come to a head, like especially with the cat, what I'm saying, in Buffalo, New York, things like that, what I'm saying. It's really made a lot of people just look down on a lot of that stuff, so they don't necessarily want to be associated. Now, they still want the votes. They still want the patronage. They just don't want to look like they're involved with them. So they're like, yes, your Proud Boys and all you other neo-Nazis and stuff, please come to the rally. Please vote for Trump. Please be a part of the movement, but just don't wear your regalia when you come, to the rally. How sad is that? How pathetic is that? But it's always like that. You know what I'm saying? It's always like that with the GOP. They want those votes regardless. So they're not going to poo-poo them in public, but they will say, please don't wear your T-shirts and all that good stuff when you come to the rally. You can be down with us. You know what I'm saying? We don't have a problem with your racism. We just have a problem with people knowing that we don't have a problem with your racism. So that's the GOP for you. But at least they're consistent, if nothing else. So I'm here to tell people there will never be a ban on assault rifles. They were saying after all of this, it would be nice to at least see that little piece of legislation. We used to have that, but you know what I'm saying, it was the Trump administration that let that go away. And when it went away, believe it or not, wow, now we have an uptick in shooting deaths. Well, what do you expect when you let these high magazine weapons available for human, consumption for the public to get their hands on? These are weapons that they use in the military. They probably should only use in the military, but nah, civilians wanted them. They got them. They got them in their hands. They're using them. They feel entitled to them now. They're not going anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. That's just never gonna happen. An assault on these high magazine weapons or these assault rifles, we'll never see that again, because you can't give Americans something and then take it away. Why do I say that? You ever heard of prohibition? There was a time in this country what? Alcohol was illegal. But then when alcohol was illegal, it gave rise to organized crime. It gave rise to, the mafia and Al Capone and some of these guys. So that's when America learned that lesson, to where something can't be legal today and then illegal tomorrow. People don't like that. Even though, there was a huge case to be made for alcohol being illegal. There was a time when, ladies would pray in front of saloons because, their husbands were getting drunk and coming home and beating them senseless because of this demon alcohol, this demon liquor. So they would pray in front of these saloons. So, people felt like something had to be done about it. And they did something about it, right? They outlawed liquor, outlawed it. They were pouring it out in the streets. But then that's why I say they gave rise to like the speakeasies and stuff like that, and bootlegging and all of that. And you know what I'm saying? So that was worse, I'm sure. Well, is it worse, or it was just another evil? It's horrible to think, that women were getting beaten because men were coming home drunk or whatever. It's also sad to think that, okay, yeah, now we got rid of that, but now we got people really getting murdered in the streets because I have this thing called organized crime, and these guys are trying to take over a city through any means possible. So you get rid of one thing and then something else pops up. That ain't no good. You know what I'm saying? So would that even happen in this case? No, because they'll never, ever, ever, never, ever get rid of assault rifles. Just not going to happen. People love them to death. When I talk to people about these guns, young and old, a lot of people young, a lot of younger cats I talk to, they don't want to ban on assault rifles because they have them and they want to be able to buy them, and they might want to buy a few more. So how many guns is enough? You know what I'm saying? I think it was Metric said that all the girls, all the guns won't get you off. What do you need? That's what I tell people all the time in this country. That's what I say to America. How many guns is enough? We have more guns in America than there are people. Think about that. We have more guns in America than there are people. How many guns are enough guns? And I tell my friends all the time, they're like, oh, well, we should have the same guns the government's got. You'll never have the guns that the government's got. You'll never have the guns that the government's got. So no, rocket launchers, all that, they got that and some more saucy stuff. Andre 3000 said it best. We said, man, you ran and raving about gats. Man, they made them gats. They got some that'll blow out our backs from where they stay at. Hear that? From where they stay at. They had to put. They don't even have to. They don't even have to pull a trigger. They just push a button and boom, wipe your whole neighborhood off the map. Do your history. They've already done it. They do it all the time. Well, they used to do it all the time. More than recently, probably because of the internet and stuff like that. But that TI is what a TI is. It's sad, but we're all living under the gun. That's a song, a quote from your boy right here. But that's what I said, man. Seems like the gun is the king and everybody equal. And that's real, man. It is like that. The gun is the king, isn't it? Because nothing will get rid of that. We've had children die. Guns still doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? We've had women and children die. Guns still doing their thing. People at war. Guns. You know, Guru said it best. We got them. They got them. Guns. Tons of guns. And that's true, man. This country is all about the gun. And some people talk about hunting and all of that good stuff. And I get that. You know what I'm saying? There's a avid hunting community in this country. And there are people who really they take that seriously. I mean, they grew up on it. And gun safety, nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? I would say for anybody out there, if you call yourself having a gun or you think you need a gun for protection or anything like that, get an education with it. You know, get an education with it. Heck, I'm not a big gun advocate or anything like that, but I've been to the shooting range with my brother because I was like, you know, at least let me know how to operate one. You know, should you need to know that? So there you go. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, I don't poo-poo guns or hate guns, but I do not like the fact that they're so pervasive in our society. And I don't like the fact that people have just incredible access to them. It's just so easy. In the hood, you can't get fresh fruit, but you can get a gun. That's sad. That's not a good look. You know what I'm saying? We have too much gun violence. And then they were saying, too, that a lot of gun violence is from suicides. They said so most often, you know, you got a gun in your home, your child will probably get it and use it on themselves. I've seen that happen too. I worked with a young man who he had some mental illness going on. He wasn't violent or aggressive or anything like that, but he felt things very deeply. He was going through it with his baby's mom. He got upset. He went home one night. I guess he had already made up his mind that he was going to off himself because he didn't say anything to his father or his mother. His dad even talked about how that night after dinner, they even wrestled on the floor the way they would all the time. This kid didn't say anything. Went to his room, shot himself in the head, killed himself with his father's gun. Can you believe that? And we were all blown away. You know what I'm saying? But I guess people tell me that too. When people sit down and say to themselves, I'm going to kill myself, they don't talk to people about it sometimes because they don't want to be talked out of it. Because they're like, I already know what I'm going to do and I'm going to do it. And this young man did it. So think about that. There's another side of it. And I know his father. His father lived on the south side. He had that gun for protection, to protect his family. And his son used it on himself. Gun violence. We've all been affected by it. You know what I'm saying? And people are like, well, you can't. If people want to do bad things, they're going to do bad things. Well, come on. Well, geez, so why do we have laws at all? Why have laws for speeding? People going to speed, so why have a speed limit? That doesn't even make any sense. But that's all that is these guys hiding from the true point. The true point is that we need some legislation around guns. We need comprehensive gun reform. I just say, man, we need a ban on assault rifles. Even with a ban on assault rifles, we'll still have mass shootings, but they probably wouldn't be this bad because you wouldn't have these high magazine guns. You know, so we're still going to have shootings, but at least it won't be as bad as it is because you won't be able to do so much damage. You know what I'm saying? With these guns, you can do a whole lot of damage. So if we could reduce that, we could at least go back to a time where the deaths were, you know, a little less because people couldn't just, pull a trigger and eliminate a whole room of people. So that is what it is. Before I get out of here, the last thing I want to do is talk about an IPA or two, or actually just a brew or two. First of all, I will start with an IPA. This right here is Chill Wave. I love this IPA. It's a double IPA. And it's from Great Lakes, and it is amazing. Now, this IPA is, I want to say it's seasonal. It only comes out every now and then. They don't have it out all the time. But it's one of my favorites. I may have even reviewed it on here before, but I had to do it again just because I came across it not too long ago. And once again, it's an empty can right here because this delicious, ladies and gentlemen. If you've never had it, you got to try it. Look right here. It says, inspired by the Northern Coast, dedicated and sometimes chilly surf community. Our fully stoked double IPA will melt the ice in your beard and never lose its balance. Wow. I would agree with all of that. Good stuff. 9.0% alcohol. Like I said, most beers, 5% alcohol, 5.0% alcohol, 9.0. alcohol. So you're going to feel that. Oh, you're going to feel that. Yeah, man. That Chill Wave Double IPA, that's good stuff. And then, last but not least, this right here is a milk stout. Now, I've had milk stouts before. It's not an IPA. It says a milk stout. And it's by Heart State. I've had a milk stout before. It wasn't this milk stout. It was another one. I remember it being real good. So I said, let me try this. Because I looked on it and said it's roasty, sweet, full, and dark. Reminds me of myself. So I said, let me taste some. Let me get some of this. And guess what? Delicious. Oh, this was good right here. I'm going to tell you, it's called Sweet. It was sweet. And it was the milk stout. Man, it was good. Some of the aftertaste was all of these things. Roasty, sweet, full, dark, all of that. And I love a nice dark brew. Put you in the mind of a Guinness, but just the taste was totally different. But just the look, it was a nice dark brew. Really, really good. They make good beers. This Heart State, I've had a few of their beers. I've had a few of their IPAs. I want to say I've reviewed them here on the show. Good stuff here. Good beer. This right here was 6.5% alcohol, so that's pretty high too. Still higher than that 5.5%. But just a really, really good beer. And that milk stout. And I ain't gonna lie. Usually when I hear milk in the same sentence as beer, that's a turn off. But but believe it or not, these milk stouts go hard. So I'm gonna try a few more. But I seen these. I seen this one. I had to try. It was delicious. Heart State. They get it in. They know what they're doing over there. Hey, that's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. That is my time. This has been Urban Politics. I want to thank you all for liking and subscribing. As soon as you have a chance, please go over to YouTube, like and subscribe, and as always, see you around like a donut.